It's been a few weeks since the nightmares stopped. The strange pet my girlfriend brought home seemed to be doing the job she said it would. The creature had a coat of black fur that seemed to eat all light around it, so it looked like a living shadow. The only exception to this being its beaming amber eyes. We named the dog-like creature Eclipse, since that's what the color reminded us of. She claimed that it was one of those supernatural pets that would help me with my nightmare problem, as it was something called a dream eater. At first, I was skeptical about its legitimacy, but after a few weeks of restful nights, I couldn't deny it anymore. The only gripe I had was the fact that I didn't seem to have any good dreams either. I suspected that Eclipse had been eating those as well, so I asked my girlfriend about it. She'd researched dream eaters extensively, and she told me she sought out the most reputable dealer. He promised that he'd trained ours not to do that. "I don't know, Emma," I said, scratching my head. "It's just weird. I haven't had a single dream since Eclipse got here. Not even a good one." Emma looked at me with those earnest eyes, the same eyes that always managed to convince me. The guy from the shop was very trustworthy. I read all his online reviews. He said Eclipse was trained to only eat nightmares. I raised a brow. When Emma first suggested getting one of these creatures to help with my nightmares, I really didn't believe it would help. She showed me all the information, though, and I said I'd give it a try. Who knew if any of it was real? Emma had never let me down before, but I had to ask. "Are you sure he wasn't just saying whatever he could to convince you to give him your money?" She shrugged. "I guess anything's possible. But he looked genuine, and I mean, you haven't had any nightmares, right?" I had to admit she was right. The persistent nightmares that used to wake me up in cold sweats were gone. For the first time in months, I was sleeping through the night. That night, I went to sleep like usual. Or, at least, I think I did. I can't remember. Anyway, it was a peaceful night. No nightmares, but no dreams either. The next morning, I mentioned this to Emma as we prepared breakfast. "It's weird," I said, pouring coffee. "I can't even remember if I dreamed or not last night." Emma paused, her hand mid-stir in her cereal. "You too?" "I thought it was just me. Maybe we're just really tired." We both shrugged it off and made breakfast before heading out to work. We made sure to leave out something for our dream eater to snack on while we were out. When we came back, Eclipse leapt up to our side, excited that we were home again. His eyes seemed to glow with an almost human-like intelligence. We both made sure to enjoy the rest of the day together with him. The next day, I started feeling a little lightheaded. "I think I might be coming down with something," I told Emma, rubbing my temples. She put her hand on my forehead, checking for a fever. "You do look a little pale. Maybe you should stay home today." Our dream eater also came over to comfort us. His presence was oddly soothing. "Thanks, boy," I murmured, patting his head. "What was his name again?" "I can't remember. I think it was Moon? Something like that." The next day, our headaches got worse. We could barely stand up without our heads getting loopy. "Maybe we should see a doctor," Emma suggested, her voice weak. She was slumped on the couch, looking as bad as I felt. I nodded, but even that small movement made my vision blur. "Yeah, maybe." What is that weird shadow sitting in the corner of the room? The days began to blur together. Is that what it's called? A day? I can't remember. I don't even remember my name. Who is this person lying next to me? Why is that shadow staring at me? The girl's voice sounded distant, almost like a whisper in my mind. "Do you feel it too?" she asked. Her words slurred. I tried to respond, but my mouth wouldn't work. My eyes were drawn to the shadow in the corner. It was darker than darkness itself, a void that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. It crept closer, its form shifting and undulating. My heart pounded in my chest, or at least I thought it did. The sensation of fear was there, but everything else felt numb. Why does it look hungry? The shadow loomed over us. Its eyes, those beaming amber eyes, gleamed with hunger. It opened its maw, revealing rows of impossibly sharp teeth, and the girl's hand found mine, a flash of distant familiarity, and we clung to each other as the shadow descended, engulfing us in its suffocating darkness. As the last remnants of my consciousness faded, I heard a voice, faint and distant. "Thank you for feeding me." The world dissolved into black, and I became nothing more than a whisper in the void, a forgotten dream in the belly of the beast.